I do have a mask. I have one right here. Thank you for watching this. I wasn't planning to shoot any videos anytime soon. I've been in the midst, I suppose, of what you might call a midlife crisis, and
please look right for traffic when exiting.
I've been doing a lot of writing, and it just seemed like such a nice day, and it's hard to resist. You know, the temptation or the desire or the compulsion to capture it. It's great, actually. Isn't it just fantastic to see the sun after so long? Toronto's actually Toronto's a bit of a gloomy city weather-wise, I think. I think that's what it is.
Next stop, Mount Stephen Street.
Gloomy city. So the weather alternates between a bright day like this once in maybe 5 or 7 days, and then 3 days of wind, 3 days of rain, 3 days of cloud or something. I mean, I'm not complaining, I'm just stating as it is. I do like the sun a lot, and so therefore here we are. So we're heading up Broadview, Broadview Avenue,
Gerrard Street,
and these streetcars and these streets and these neighborhoods, they evince such a powerful set of emotions and nostalgic reminiscences that it's just like floating through a dreamland. I mean, the kinds of adventures and fights and bikes and hikes and whatever, like all kinds of stuff going on around these areas. Like Broadview, my wife Judith used to live up here, right? And so we like walk over the bridge, right? And she's actually lived in St. Jamestown, like poor town, I suppose, right? So St. Jamestown, unfortunately, is it's deteriorated. Unfortunately, poverty and whatnot, it does create unfavorable conditions that either create the conditions for crime or attract people that don't mind stealing. I don't know, like there is a gangster ethic, a criminal kind of ethic, or at least you could say this much, that there are two kinds of people, those that have a set of principles and those that don't. On the other hand, there's a saying from one of our holy imams, peace be upon them, something like this, or this is a core tenet of our way of thinking as a Shia Muslim, is that it's a saying, so it's based on reason or rationality or intellect. So the saying is what it is the essence of it, or the fact of the matter, is that intellect goes hand in hand with principles, or something like this. So every intellectual person has a deen, has a path. So what that means is, I suppose, you look at it this way, right? So
please look right for traffic when exiting.
If you're a gangster, you obviously follow some kind of protocol. Otherwise, if you just behave willy-nilly, you get killed or end up in trouble or something like this. See, that's one thing. That's more of a practical conjunction, right? If you want to do a good job in any case, in any field.
Next stop, Whitbread Avenue.
Then, you need to follow methodologies and rules. So there we go. This is really beautiful, isn't it? Look at this. It's gorgeous. It turned out really nice today. And there's probably one of the nicest views of the city, right? It's like a classic right here. So I'm hoping you can see like the outline, dear viewer, of downtown Toronto. It's grown. I have to think to myself that it must have been much smaller like 10 years ago when Judith and I first moved here. But it really is gorgeous. You can see how there's people out, and it's green. And a nice thing about Canada in general, I believe, is the fact that there's a lot of public kind of access areas like the waterfronts and the rivers and the trails, and a lot of thought has been put into making sure there's places for people to go out and about to capture and take in this wonderful kind of thing. Tabsiratul lin-nadhirin, says the Quran. Sights for the beholder, something like this. It basically is the exact thing of a nature buzz, basically, in the Quran. Now, I have to say, now that I've mentioned the Holy Book, being a Muslim, whatever, right? My wife's a Christian, again, so don't worry about that too much. And she's the real deal. She's from Bogota. She reads the whole Bible every year, the whole thing, the Old Testament included. I guess our latest kind of locked horns thing, locked horns, me and her, Islam versus Christianity, is this Old Testament, una libro diabólico, I tell her. She's like, mi amor, yo no sabe la palabra de Dios. After 15 years practically, although it's only been the last several, studiously, of getting up every day at 5, then this is what she does. She's one of those people that doesn't read books, although she'd love to, but she's up every day first thing, and she doesn't sit down all day ever to do anything. The only time you could say she's doing something in terms of just like relaxing or something, like she doesn't watch TV or anything, but like she might be on the phone with her sister in Salem, Oregon. Anyway, so the Old Testament. So we've lived happily together for 15 years. We hold hands and pray together, and the Quran says in this case that, well, I suppose it says the closest of people you'll find to you as Muslims, I suppose, are those who say, Nahnu Nasara, we are Christians. It's an interesting thing that's exactly what my wife says. She says we were raised Catholic, but we converted, and now we're Christians. Nosotros Cristianos. Anyway, so this Old Testament, I have to say I was in jail. I wasn't going to mention it on this video. I thought, why mention it if you don't need to, right? But I suppose it does add some subtext or some resonance, in as much as I might as well just say it was the best time of my life. I started out in the first couple of weeks talking about how it was like essentially a meditation retreat. You pay 10 grand, you go to Thailand for 10 days. Like if you do like a Vipassana meditation thing, you're just sitting there for 10 hours. Now it's about the same thing, right? So you're not worried about food or nothing. Like you're just there and you've got all this time. And I was in special needs, right? Because of, I suppose I should add, a mental illness thing where I have a bipolar reaction to weed is how I should state that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's all nonsense. I just want to go back to what I was talking about. Practical considerations versus morality, or are they the same thing? Is the rational imperative a moral imperative? I find myself influenced by this audiobook I'm listening to about Nietzsche, and I do know he was an incredible guy. I know this simply by virtue of having seen a lot of Jordan Peterson videos. Jordan Peterson, he's a professor at the University of Toronto. He's a psychology professor and a practicing clinician. He has a psychiatry practice, and he's a neurosurgeon. And he's an amazing guy. He's written a best-selling book, 12 Rules of Life, An Antidote to Chaos. And he's the one who essentially, there's so many things that he introduced me to. I mean, I haven't listened to one of his videos for years, and I'm processing still. It sounds incredible, but this is the life of a person such as myself. There's an audiobook on Scribd, Scribe with a D, Scribd. Audiobooks, $8.99 a month, unlimited audiobooks. It'll change your life. It'll change your life. I sound like an Italiano mafiosi. People ask me if I'm a wop. Okay? Just because I've listened to all these audiobooks with all these voice actors and actresses, just like, you know, going through FBI transcripts of Fat Tony Salerno or Angie Quacks Rogero. Anyway, Two greedy people will never be satisfied, said Imam Ali, the seeker of the world and the seeker of knowledge. I'll leave it at that. Nice day, Broadview Station, and it's not like Calgary, although it's snowing there right now. There was like a brutal snowstorm there yesterday, but it's very sunny in Calgary, right? And out here, unfortunately, I have to end on this complimentary note. The weather is pretty shitty in Toronto. Otherwise, beautiful city.